The lecture hall buzzed with the usual morning chaos. Students shuffled into their seats, coffee cups in hand, tablets flickering to life. Professor Harkin stood at the podium, his four eyes scanning the crowd with typical Valorian impatience. The University of Galactic Relations prided itself on diversity, and today's class was no exception. Scaled Crithians sat beside feathered Avic students, while crystalline lumens refracted light from the back row. In the third row, near the window, sat Maya Chen. She looked utterly unremarkable by human standards. Average height, dark hair pulled into a messy bun, wearing a faded university hoodie that had seen better days. Her notebook was covered in doodles, and she often stared out the window during lectures. To her classmates, she was just another unmotivated human student, barely scraping by in interstellar conflict resolution. Miss Chen, Professor Harkin's voice cut through the chatter. Perhaps you could enlighten us about the Crexian War Treaty of 2247. Maya blinked, dragging her attention from the window. It established the neutral zone doctrine and limited territorial expansion in contested sectors. Correct, though I'd appreciate if you could stay awake during my lectures. Harkin's translator chip carried his sarcasm perfectly. A Crithian student named Zexar hissed with amusement. Humans, he muttered to his neighbor. They join the Galactic Council and think they understand centuries of warfare. Maya said nothing, returning her gaze to the window. She had learned long ago that silence was easier than explanation. After class, Maya headed to the cafeteria. The dining hall was a marvel of xenobiology, with different atmosphere sections and gravity zones to accommodate various species. Maya grabbed a simple sandwich and found an empty table in the human-compatible section. She preferred eating alone. "Hey, Chen," a voice called out. It was Derek, a fellow human student from her dormitory. "You coming to the war simulation game tonight? We're doing the Battle of Proxima 5. Maya's hand tightened imperceptibly on her sandwich. "No thanks. Not really my thing," Derek laughed. "Come on, it's just a game. We could use another human on the team. Most of these aliens don't understand human tactical thinking anyway." "I've got studying to do," Maya said flatly. Derek shrugged and walked away. As he left, Maya heard him mutter to his friend, "She's so boring. Probably couldn't handle the pressure anyway." Maya took another bite of her sandwich, her expression unchanged. The cafeteria's news feed flickered on the wall screens, showing coverage of peace negotiations in the Outer Rim. Ambassadors shook hands and appendages, smiling for cameras. The war had been over for 3 years now, officially at least. The galaxy was healing, or pretending to. That evening, Maya returned to her small dormitory room. It was sparse, almost military in its efficiency. A bed, a desk, a closet. No posters, no decorations, nothing personal except a small locked box on the top shelf of her closet. She didn't open it often. Didn't need to. Its contents were burned into her memory. Her roommate, a cheerful Avix named Chirla, burst through the door in a flutter of violet feathers. "Maya, you missed the most amazing lecture in xenopsychology today. Professor Tinks was discussing human emotional responses to combat stress. Apparently you humans have this thing called PTSD that—" She stopped, noticing Maya's expression. "Sorry, am I bothering you?" "No, it's fine," Maya said, managing a small smile. "I'm just tired." Chirla settled onto her perch, her large eyes concerned. "You know, you can talk to me if something's wrong. I know humans prefer privacy, but sometimes sharing helps. I'm okay, really." But she wasn't okay. She never was. Every night when she closed her eyes, she saw the fires of Arcturus Station. She heard the screaming. She felt the weight of decisions that had saved thousands and damned hundreds. The next day brought advanced diplomatic strategy, taught by Ambassador Lorix, a distinguished Valorian who had negotiated 17 peace treaties. Today's topic was human military history. "The humans," Lorix began, his voice carrying the weight of authority, "are fascinating from a military perspective. They joined the Galactic Council only 30 years ago, yet during the recent war they proved surprisingly effective. Some say ruthlessly so." A Crithian student raised his scaled hand. "But they lack the physical advantages of most species. No natural armor, no enhanced strength, no telepathic coordination. How did they compensate?" Lorix's four eyes gleamed. "They adapted. Humans have an unusual capacity for what they call thinking outside the box. Where other species have traditional combat doctrines refined over millennia, humans improvise. They use unconventional tactics, Some call it creativity, others call it desperation. Maya kept her eyes on her tablet, taking notes mechanically. Let me give you an example, Lorix continued. During the siege of Arcturus Station, a Crexian fleet had surrounded the facility. 12,000 civilians and soldiers trapped. By all tactical analysis, the station should have fallen within hours. The Crexian commander sent an ultimatum: surrender or die. The classroom fell silent. Everyone knew this story. It was legendary. But someone on that station refused to surrender, Lorix said. Someone devised a strategy so audacious, so unthinkable that it worked. They turned the station's fusion reactors into a makeshift weapon, created a gravity well that pulled the Crexian flagship off course, then systematically dismantled the enemy fleet using nothing but mining equipment and civilian shuttles modified for combat. Students murmured in amazement. One Lumeni asked who commanded the defense. Lorix's expression grew somber. That information remains classified. The human military sealed all records. Apparently, the individual responsible requested anonymity after the war. All we know is the codename Athena. Maya's stylus snapped in her hand. She stared at the broken pieces, then quietly gathered them into her palm. The Battle of Arcturus saved the entire sector, Lorix continued. It was the turning point of the war. And whoever Athena was, they disappeared after the conflict ended. Some say they died in the final assault. Others believe they retired. But their tactics are now studied in every military academy across the galaxy. After class, Maya walked quickly toward the exit. She needed air, space, anywhere but here. Chen, Zexar the Crithian, blocked her path. I noticed you snapped your stylus. The professor was talking about your species' greatest military achievement, and you broke your stylus. Interesting reaction. It was an accident, Maya said evenly. Was it? Zexar's yellow eyes narrowed. You know, I've been watching you. You never participate in tactical discussions. You avoid anything military-related. You're studying diplomatic relations, yet you show no interest in the wars that shaped current treaties. Why? Some of us prefer peace to war, Maya replied. Or perhaps, Zexar hissed softly, you know more about war than you want to admit. Maya pushed past him without responding. Her heart hammered in her chest, but her face remained calm. She had practice at this. 3 years of practice. She made it to her room before the trembling started. Churla wasn't there, thankfully. Maya sat on her bed, hands shaking, breathing carefully. In through the nose, out through the mouth. The meditation techniques helped. Usually. On her desk, her tablet pinged with a new message. It was from the university administration. A reminder about tomorrow's mandatory assembly. Some important announcement about a new program. Maya barely glanced at it. Whatever it was, it didn't matter. She just needed to keep her head down, finish her degree, and disappear into some quiet diplomatic posting where nobody asked questions. Where nobody would ever connect the unremarkable student Maya Chen with the ghost they called Athena. The assembly hall was packed. Every student in the University of Galactic Relations had been required to attend, and the massive auditorium struggled to accommodate the diverse biology of its occupants. Environmental zones hummed, adjusting temperature, pressure, and atmosphere for different species. Maya found a seat in the back, hoping to remain invisible. Dean Paraxis, a towering Valorian with ceremonial markings, took the stage. His 4 eyes swept the audience. Students, faculty, honored guests. Today we announce a prestigious new initiative. The Galactic Council has established the War Memorial Scholarship Program. Maya felt her stomach drop. This program, Paraxis continued, will honor the greatest heroes of the recent war by bringing them to our university as guest lecturers. These individuals will share their first-hand experiences, teaching the next generation of diplomats about the realities of conflict and the importance of peace. Applause rippled through the auditorium. Students exchanged excited whispers. A chance to learn from actual war heroes was unprecedented. Our first guest, Paraxis announced, is someone many of you know by reputation. Please welcome Commander Vrix of the Crexian Imperial Fleet. A massive Crexian walked onto the stage. His scales bore the scars of countless battles, and his presence commanded immediate respect. Students leaned forward, captivated. Maya tried to sink deeper into her seat. She knew Vrix, not personally, but she had studied his tactics. During the war, he had been one of the most brilliant enemy commanders. Ruthless, efficient, and nearly unbeatable. Nearly Vrix began speaking about his experiences, his translator rendering his hissing language into smooth galactic standard. War reveals the truth about species, he said. It strips away pretense and shows what you are truly capable of. The Crexian Empire learned many lessons during the conflict. The most important was this: never underestimate humanity. Several human students sat up straighter, preening with pride. Humans are small, Vrix continued, physically weak compared to most galactic species. They lack natural weapons, natural armor, natural advantages. By all logical analysis, they should have been easily defeated. He paused. And yet they were the most dangerous enemy I ever faced. The room had gone completely silent. I will tell you about the most humiliating defeat of my career, Vrix said. The siege of Arcturus Station. My fleet had surrounded a human defensive position. We outnumbered them 12-1. We had superior firepower, superior technology, superior everything. I sent an ultimatum: surrender or die. It was not arrogance. It was mathematical certainty. Maya's hands clenched in her lap. Then someone on that station answered my ultimatum, Vrix said, his voice carrying an emotion the translator struggled to capture. They said, "Come and take it," 3 words. And then they proceeded to destroy my fleet using mining equipment and civilian shuttles. Students gasped. Derek, sitting several rows ahead, whispered loudly, "No way. That's impossible." "I assure you it happened," Vrix replied coldly. The commander turned their fusion reactors into weapons, created gravity anomalies, used debris fields as shields. They fought with a creativity and viciousness I had never encountered. Every tactic I employed, they countered with something I had never imagined. By the time reinforcements arrived to rescue my remaining ships, I had lost 70% of my fleet. He paused, letting that sink in. To this day, I do not know who commanded that defense. The humans classified all records. But I will tell you this. That commander understood something fundamental about warfare. It is not about strength or technology. It is about will. And humanity's will to survive is absolute. The assembly continued with more speakers, but Maya heard none of it. Her mind was elsewhere, trapped in memories of fire and blood and impossible choices. When the program finally ended, she stood quickly, trying to escape before anyone could speak to her. "Maya Chen," she froze. That voice, she turned slowly. Commander Vrix stood before her, towering over her small human frame. His yellow eyes studied her with unsettling intensity. "Yes?" Maya managed to keep her voice steady. "You are studying diplomatic relations?" "Yes, Commander." "Interesting," he tilted his head. "During my lecture, most students showed excitement, curiosity, or fear. You showed nothing. Your face was completely neutral, yet your hands were clenched so tightly your knuckles turned white. Tell me, have we met before?" "No, Commander. I'm just a student. I've never served in any military. Curious, because I never forget a face and something about yours seems familiar." He leaned closer. "You would not happen to know anything about Arcturus Station, would you?" "Only what everyone knows. It's in the history books." Vrix studied her for another long moment, then straightened. "Of course, forgive my intrusion. The war left me paranoid, seeing ghosts where there are none." He walked away, but Maya felt his suspicion lingering like smoke. Other students were approaching now, chattering excitedly about the lecture. She needed to escape. Maya pushed through the crowd and headed for the exit. Outside, the university grounds were peaceful. Artificial sunlight filtered through the biodome, and students from a dozen species lounged on the grass. Everything was calm, normal, safe, but Maya felt the walls closing in. Her tablet buzzed. A message from Professor Harkin. "Miss Chen, please see me during office hours tomorrow. We need to discuss your performance in my class." "Perfect." Another complication. That night, Maya couldn't sleep. Chirla was snoring softly on her perch, but Maya lay awake, staring at the ceiling. The locked box on her closet shelf seemed to pulse with invisible weight. She had not opened it since arriving at the university, had promised herself she never would, but now her fingers itched to unlock it to confirm it was still there. Her past, sealed in metal and plastic. She resisted the urge. Instead, she got up and went to her desk, pulling up her coursework on her tablet. An essay on post-war reconciliation was due next week. The professor wanted analysis of how former enemies could build lasting peace. Maya stared at the blank document. How did you reconcile with people you had killed? How did you build peace when your hands were stained with the blood of thousands? The Crexians she had killed at Arcturus weren't soldiers to her during the battle. They were tactical problems to be solved, threats to be neutralized, numbers on a screen. It was only afterward, when the adrenaline faded and the silence descended, that they became people. Individuals with families, hopes, dreams. She had saved 12,000 lives by taking 4,000. The mathematics were simple. The morality was not. A soft knock interrupted her thoughts. Maya tensed. It was past midnight. Who would be knocking now? She opened the door a crack. Professor Harkin stood in the hallway, his 4 eyes apologetic. Miss Chen, I apologize for the late hour. May I come in? Maya glanced at Chirla, still sleeping. Perhaps we could speak in the hallway. They stepped outside and Harkin closed the door gently behind her. The Valorian professor looked uncomfortable, his tentacles twitching with nervous energy. I will be direct, he said quietly. Commander Vrix approached me after the assembly. He asked about you. Maya's heart rate accelerated, but she kept her expression neutral. About me? Why? He said something about you seemed familiar. He wanted to know your academic records, your background, where you served during the war. Harkin's eyes studied her carefully. I told him you were just a student, that you had no military record. But then I checked your file myself. Maya said nothing. Your records are very thorough, Harkin continued. Almost too thorough. Every detail documented, every year accounted for. But there is something strange. Your psychological evaluation shows signs of combat-related trauma. When I requested clarification from human military records, my inquiry was blocked at the highest levels. I don't know what you're talking about. Miss Chen, I have taught thousands of students over my career. I can recognize when someone is hiding from their past. His voice softened. If you are in some kind of trouble, the university can provide protection. I'm not in trouble, Professor. I'm just tired. The assembly was emotionally draining for everyone. Harkin studied her for another moment, then nodded slowly. Very well, but my office is always open if you need to talk. About anything. He walked away, leaving Maya alone in the empty hallway. She leaned against the wall, breathing carefully. The net was tightening. First Zexar's suspicion, then Vrix's recognition, now Harkin's investigation. 3 years. She had managed to stay hidden for 3 years. But the past never stayed buried. It always found a way to surface. Maya returned to her room and stood before her closet. The locked box sat on the top shelf, innocuous and terrible. Inside were the only physical remnants of her other life. Her military identification, her commendations, the list of names she had saved, written in her own hand so she would never forget why she had done what she did. And one other thing. Something she had sworn never to use again. Her fingers reached for the box, then stopped. Not yet. She could still maintain the illusion. She could still be just a student, but deep down Maya knew the truth. The mask was cracking, and when it finally shattered, everyone would see what she really was. The question was whether she would be a hero or a monster in their eyes. Maya spent the next morning researching transfer procedures to other universities. Maybe a fresh start somewhere remote would work. A colony campus on the edge of known space where nobody asked questions and Commander Vrix's lectures were just distant news feeds. Her tablet pinged. Another message from the administration. All students were required to attend a tactical simulation exercise as part of the new memorial program. Attendance was mandatory. Participation would be graded. Maya felt the trap closing. A tactical simulation meant her skills would be visible. She could pretend to be incompetent, but that would draw attention in its own way. Excellence and failure both left trails. The simulation was scheduled for that afternoon in the university's combat training facility. Maya arrived early, hoping to scope out the exercise and plan her approach. The facility was impressive, designed to accommodate multiple species with varying combat styles. Holographic projectors covered every surface, capable of creating hyper-realistic battle scenarios. Commander Vrix stood at the central control station, examining a three-dimensional tactical display. Several faculty members surrounded him, discussing parameters. Maya tried to slip past unnoticed, but the Crexian's head turned with predatory precision. Ah, Miss Chen, punctual. I appreciate that quality. His yellow eyes gleamed. Tell me, have you participated in tactical simulations before? Only the basic ones required for graduation. Maya lied smoothly. Then today should be educational. We will be recreating historical battles, Students will take command positions and attempt to resolve the scenarios. He gestured to the display. The difficulty will be adjusted based on species capabilities, of course. We would not want anyone to have unfair advantages. Other students began filtering in. Derek arrived with a group of human classmates, all wearing matching university athletic gear, like they were preparing for a sports match. They high-fived each other, laughing about who would score the most points. Zexar the Crithian entered with several of his scaled peers, moving with the coordinated precision of a military unit. They had clearly trained together before. Maya noticed. They wore communication earpieces for telepathic linking. Chirla fluttered down beside Maya, her feathers ruffled with excitement. This is going to be amazing. I have never done combat training before. My species are pacifists, but the university says observation is educational. Professor Harkin entered, last his four eyes immediately finding Maya in the crowd. He nodded slightly, a gesture that felt more like a warning than a greeting. Vrix activated the holographic system. The room transformed into a three-dimensional tactical space, with students represented as glowing icons at the bottom of the display. We will begin with something simple, Vrix announced. The Battle of Terminus Ridge, a classic engagement demonstrating the importance of high ground and supply lines. Teams will be randomly assigned. The computer shuffled students into groups. Maya found herself assigned to Blue Team along with Chirla, two Lumeni students, and a nervous-looking human named Sarah. Their opponents, Red Team, included Derek, Zexar, and three experienced-looking Crithian soldiers enrolled in the military science program. This is going to be a massacre, Sarah whispered. They've got actual military students. The holographic battlefield materialized around them. Terminus Ridge was a defensive position overlooking a valley. Red Team started with superior positioning and resources. Blue Team began at the valley floor, outnumbered and outgunned. Historical parameters state that Red Team should win within 20 minutes, Vrix explained. Blue Team's objective is simply to survive as long as possible. Begin. Derek's voice immediately crackled through Blue Team's communication channel. Maya, you take the east flank with one Lumeni. Sarah, you coordinate supplies. Chirla, aerial reconnaissance. I'll command from the center. Maya bit back a response. Derek had appointed himself leader and was already making mistakes. Splitting. Their limited forces when facing a numerically superior enemy was tactically unsound. Within 5 minutes, Derek's strategy was failing. Red Team had flanked their eastern position and the Lumini student Maya was paired with panicked, breaking formation. The holographic display showed their forces in red, indicating casualties. Fall back, Derek shouted, his voice cracking with stress. Where do we fall back to? Sarah called. They control the high ground. Maya watched the tactical display, her trained eye identifying patterns. Zexar was commanding Red Team with textbook precision. He had divided his forces into a hammer and anvil formation, designed to crush Blue Team against the ridge wall. It was competent, but predictable. Too predictable. She saw the opening, a narrow ravine that Red Team had left unguarded, assuming Blue Team would never risk the difficult terrain. If they could reach it, they could flank the enemy position and turn the trap around. Derek, listen, Maya said quietly. We need to move through the ravine at coordinate 774. Are you crazy? That ravine is a death trap. We'd be bottlenecked. It's our only chance. No way. We'll regroup at the supply depot and make a stand there. Maya watched as Derek led the team toward the depot. Exactly what Zexar would expect. The Crithian was already repositioning his forces to intercept. Blue Team was walking into a slaughter. Chirla fluttered beside Maya's holographic position, her voice worried. Maya, I can see from above. Red Team is surrounding the depot. If we go there, we lose. I know, Maya said quietly. Then why are we following Derek? Good question. Maya watched her teammates marching toward defeat, following orders that would end the simulation in failure. She could stay quiet, let it happen, remain invisible. But something inside her rebelled. Maybe it was pride. Maybe it was instinct. Maybe it was just exhaustion with pretending to be less than she was. Chirla, Maya said, her voice changing, becoming something harder, something that carried the weight of command. Break from formation. I need your eyes on that ravine. Tell me exactly what you see. But Derek said, do it. Churla hesitated, then obeyed. Something in Maya's tone had triggered an instinctive response. The Avix banked away from the group, her holographic icon breaking formation. Sarah, Maya continued, her mind already calculating the tactical solution. How much demo material do you have in supply? Enough for 3 charges, but Derek didn't authorize. Authorization doesn't matter if we're all dead. Bring the charges to my position. Now. Maya's holographic avatar began moving toward the ravine. The Lumeni students followed hesitantly, confused by the sudden shift in command. Derek's voice crackled angrily over the channel. Chen, get back in formation. That's an order. Your formation is leading us into an ambush. The ravine is our only option. I'm the team leader. Then lead better. The sharpness in her voice silenced him. Maya moved quickly now, her avatar navigating the difficult terrain with practiced efficiency. She could see the tactical picture clearly. Zexar had committed his forces to intercepting at the depot. The ravine was unguarded because it seemed like suicide. But Maya had survived by choosing the suicidal option before. Chirla's voice came through, excited now. The ravine is clear. I can see a path through to their rear positions. Good. Stay high and report any movements. Sarah, get those charges to the ravine entrance. We're going to collapse it behind us after we pass through. That will trap us on the other side. Exactly. They'll think we're desperate. They won't expect us to be setting up an ambush. The pieces were moving now. Maya's mind worked 3 steps ahead, calculating probabilities and countermoves. She had not felt this clarity in 3 years. It was intoxicating and terrifying. Her team moved through the ravine. The terrain was brutal, the holographic rocks and narrow passages forcing them into single file. But they made it through. On the other side, Maya positioned her forces with surgical precision. Sarah, set the charges at the ravine entrance. Time the detonation for when Red Team comes to investigate. Lumeni, take high positions in the rocks. When they're stunned by the explosion, hit them from above. What about the main Red force at the depot? One Lumeni asked. Maya smiled coldly. They're about to get a very unpleasant surprise. She had Chirla scout the depot, confirming Zexar's position. The Crithian had left a skeleton force at his starting position, assuming Blue Team was contained. Another mistake. Chirla, I need you to do something dangerous. Fly to Red Team's base. Make yourself visible. Draw their attention. But I'm not armed. I'll be shot down. No, you won't. They need to see you to shoot you, and you're faster than their tracking systems. Lead them on a chase. Keep them distracted for 90 seconds, that's all I need. Chirla's avatar hesitated, then dove toward the enemy base. Alarms immediately sounded as Red Team spotted her. Holographic weapons fire lit up the sky, but Chirla was already banking away, her aerial agility making her impossible to hit. While Red Team focused on the aerial distraction, Maya led her ground forces in a lightning strike on their undermanned base. They seized control of the high ground in 40 seconds. By the time Zexar realized what had happened, Blue Team had captured his starting position and turned his own defenses against him. The ravine charges detonated right on schedule, catching Red Team's main force in the blast. Holographic casualties mounted rapidly. Zexar tried to reorganize, but Maya was already anticipating his moves. Every counter he attempted, she blocked. Every retreat, she cut off. Within 10 minutes of Maya taking command, Red Team's defeat was inevitable. The simulation ended. The holographic battlefield dissolved, returning the room to its normal state. Students stood in shocked silence. The tactical display showed the final result. Blue Team victory, with minimal casualties. Commander Vrix stared at the display, his scaled face unreadable. Then his yellow eyes turned to Maya with the intensity of a predator recognizing another predator. Interesting, he said softly. Very interesting indeed. The silence in the training facility was absolute. Every student stared at the tactical display showing Blue Team's impossible victory. Derek's mouth hung open. Zexar's scales had gone pale with shock. Even Professor Harkin's 4 eyes were wide with disbelief. Commander Vrix walked slowly toward Maya. His footsteps echoed in the quiet room. When he stood before her, she forced herself to meet his gaze, knowing that looking away would confirm his suspicions even faster. "Tell me, Miss Chen," Rick said quietly, "where did you learn to command like that?" "Strategy games, books, the same places everyone learns." Her voice was steady, but inside, her heart hammered against her ribs. "No." Rick's voice carried absolute certainty. "Games and books teach theory. What you demonstrated was experience, muscle memory. You moved through that simulation like someone who has done this 1,000 times before. I just saw an opportunity and took it. You saw 7 opportunities and exploited them all simultaneously." Bricks turned to address the entire class. What Miss Chen accomplished in 10 minutes is what takes most commanders years to learn. She identified her opponent's strategy, predicted his responses, turned his strengths into weaknesses, and executed a flawless multi-vector assault with untrained troops. Zexar hissed angrily. "We were going easy on them. It was supposed to be a simple exercise." "You were not going easy," Vrix replied coldly. "You were beaten by a human student who claims to have no military training." He looked back at Maya. The ravine maneuver was particularly brilliant. Risky, but brilliant. It reminded me of a tactic I saw once before. At Arcturus Station, Maya felt the blood drain from her face. Around her, students began whispering. The name Arcturus was spreading through the crowd like wildfire. "That's impossible," Derek said. "Arcturus was years ago. Maya would have been, 19, 20? Nobody that young could have commanded." 21, Maya said quietly. The words came out before she could stop them. "I was 21. The room went deathly silent. Professor Harkin stepped forward. "Miss Chen, perhaps we should speak privately." "No." Maya's voice was stronger now. The mask had cracked, and she was tired of holding the pieces together. "No more hiding." She walked to the central tactical display and pulled up her university identification. With trembling fingers, she entered her real military service number. The one that had been classified, buried, hidden under layers of government secrecy. The display flickered. Then it showed a service record that made several students. Gasped Lieutenant Commander Maya. "Chen Human Defense Force, decorations. The Star of Valor, the Silver Comet, the Distinguished, Service Cross." And at the top, in letters that seemed to burn on the screen, Defender of Arcturus Station. Codename Athena. "It's really her," someone whispered. Churla made a small sound of shock, her feathers standing on end. "Maya, you never said—" "I couldn't," Maya replied. "After the war, I requested anonymity. I wanted to disappear, to be normal, to not be the person who made those decisions anymore." Brix approached the display, studying the record with something like reverence in his eyes. "So it was you. All this time I have been searching for the commander who defeated me, and she was sitting in university classes pretending to be an average student. I wasn't pretending. I'm an average student. That person on the screen, Athena, she's someone else. Someone I left behind." "Can you leave such things behind?" Brix asked. "Can any of us?" Maya looked at him directly for the first time, soldier to soldier. "I've been trying for 3 years. You tell me if it's working." A Lumani student raised a crystal in hand hesitantly. "What happened at Arcturus?" "The histories say you saved 12,000 people, but the details are classified." "What was it like?" Maya closed her eyes. The memories came flooding back, sharp and terrible. "It was hell," she said simply. "We were outnumbered, outgunned, and surrounded. I was a junior officer who happened to be the highest-ranking person left alive after the first assault. 12,000 civilians and soldiers trapped in a station that was falling apart. Commander Vrix's fleet was outside, and he had given us an ultimatum. Surrender or die." She opened her eyes, looking at the faces of students who had only known peace. "I chose neither. I chose to fight. Not because I was brave or heroic. I was terrified. But those 12,000 people were depending on me, and I couldn't let them down." "How did you turn mining equipment into weapons?" Zexar asked, his voice carrying grudging respect now. "Desperation and physics. Mining lasers are just focused energy beams. Civilian shuttles have engines that can be overloaded. The station's fusion reactors could be reconfigured if you were willing to risk catastrophic failure." She paused. "I was willing to risk everything." "You created a gravity well that destroyed my flagship," Vrix said. "How?" "The station had gravity generators for different species. I linked them all together, pushed them past safety limits and created a localized gravitational anomaly. It lasted about 15 seconds before the system burned out, but 15 seconds was enough. You could have killed everyone on the station doing that, Professor Harkin said. I know. I spent 3 days calculating the risks, running simulations in my head while dodging bombardment. The chance of total catastrophic failure was 47%, but the chance of survival if we did nothing was 0%. So I took the risk. Derek spoke up, his voice uncertain. But you won. You're a hero. Why hide it? Maya laughed bitterly. You think I'm a hero? I killed 4,000 Crexian soldiers. Most of them were just following orders, doing their duty, trying to survive like everyone else. I turned their ships into coffins. I vented atmosphere sections, killing boarders who were trying to surrender. I made choices that saved some lives by sacrificing others. She turned to face the entire class, her voice raw with emotion she had buried for years. You want to know the truth about war? It's not heroic. It's not glorious. It's making impossible choices and living with the consequences. Every person I saved at Arcturus came at the cost of someone else's life. 4,000 Crexians died so 12,000 humans and allies could live. And I dream about them every night. The ones I killed and the ones I saved. Because both haunt me equally. The room was silent. Several students looked uncomfortable. Chirla had tears in her large eyes. Rick spoke, his voice gentle in a way Maya had never heard from a Crexian before. Commander Chen, if it provides any comfort, know that the soldiers you killed died honorably. They were warriors, as were you. War is terrible, but it reveals what we truly are. You proved that humanity deserves its place in the Galactic Council. You proved that courage is not about strength or size. It is about choosing to stand when everything tells you to run. I didn't feel courageous. I felt terrified every second. That is the definition of courage, doing what must be done despite the fear. Vrix performed a Crexian gesture of respect, pressing his claws to his chest. You defeated me honorably. I have spent 3 years analyzing that battle, trying to understand how I lost. Now I know. I lost because you were willing to risk everything, and I was not. Professor Harkin cleared his throat. I think we should end the simulation exercises for today. Students, you are dismissed. Miss Chen, please remain. The crowd began to disperse, but many students lingered, staring at Maya with new eyes. Some looked at her with awe, others with fear, a few with something like understanding. Zexar approached her cautiously. I apologize for my earlier disrespect. I did not know who you were. You shouldn't apologize for disrespecting a student. You should apologize for being disrespectful, period. My identity doesn't change whether I deserved courtesy or not. The Crithian blinked, then nodded slowly. You are correct. I apologize for my behavior regardless of your service record. He left. Soon only Maya, Vrix, Harkin, and Chirla remained in the training facility. Chirla approached hesitantly, her feathers drooping. Maya, I feel like I do not know you anymore. You have been my roommate for 2 years and I never knew you were a war hero. I'm not a hero, Chirla. I'm just someone who survived. You are both, Harkin said firmly. And you are also still a student. Your service record does not change that. But I suspect things will be different now. I know. Maya felt exhausted suddenly. I should have stayed hidden. No, Vrix said. Hiding is not living. I know this because I tried it too after the war. I took a position as far from combat as possible, teaching at a university, but the war followed me. It always does. The question is whether we run from our past or integrate it into who we are now. How do you integrate being a killer with being a diplomat? Maya asked. By remembering why you fought. You did not kill for pleasure or power. You killed to protect. That is not the same thing, Vrix paused. The galaxy needs people like you, Commander Chen. People who understand the cost of war. People who will fight only when necessary, but who can fight brilliantly when needed. This is what makes good diplomats. Not pacifists who fear conflict, but warriors who understand its true price. Maya wanted to believe him. But the weight of 4,000 deaths was heavy. What happens now? She asked. Harkin's 4 eyes were kind. Now? Now you decide who you want to be. The university will not force you to use your service record publicly, but I suspect the truth will spread regardless. Students talk. By tomorrow, everyone will know that Athena is attending classes with them. Great, Maya muttered. Perhaps it is not entirely negative. Chirla offered softly. Maybe now you can stop pretending. Stop hiding. Maybe you can be yourself. Maya looked at her roommate. I'm not sure I know who that is anymore. Then you have time to figure it out. You are still only 24 years old, Maya. You have decades to discover who you are beyond the war. They left her alone in the training facility. Maya stood in the empty room, surrounded by the ghosts of holographic battles and real memories. She had spent 3 years running from her past. Now it had caught her. The question was what to do next. Maya woke the next morning to find her face on every news feed in the galaxy. Someone had leaked her identity, and now the media was having what humans called a field day. Headlines screamed across holographic displays throughout the dormitory common area. War hero Athena revealed to be university. Student, the ghost commander walks among us. Human. Prodigy who saved Arcturus now studies. Diplomacy. Churla was already awake, her feathers ruffled with distress. Maya, I am so sorry. Everyone is talking about it. The news feeds, the social networks, everywhere. Some students are calling you a hero. Others are saying terrible things about the Crexians you killed. It is chaos, Maya sat up slowly. She had barely slept, and her dreams had been filled with fire and screaming. I knew this would happen. Truth never stays quiet. What will you do? Go to class. What else can I do? Walking across campus was surreal. Students stopped and stared. Some pointed. Others quickly looked away as if afraid to make eye contact. Maya heard whispers following her like a shadow. That's her. That's Athena. She killed 4,000 Crexians by herself. I heard she can calculate tactical solutions in her head faster than computers. My cousin served at Arcturus. He says she saved his life. A group of human students approached, led by Derek. His expression was strange, somewhere between awe and resentment. Maya, we need to talk, he said. Some of us are organizing a tribute event. To honor human heroes of the war. We want you to speak. No. Come on, this is important. You're a symbol of human achievement. You proved we belong in the Galactic Council. You showed those aliens that humans can... Stop. Maya's voice cut like a blade. I'm not a symbol. I'm not a propaganda tool, and I definitely don't want to be used to promote human superiority. The Crexians I fought were brave soldiers doing their duty. This isn't about one species being better than another. Derek's face reddened. Easy for you to say. You're famous now. Some of us are still trying to prove ourselves, still getting looked down on by aliens who think humans are weak. Then prove yourself through your own actions, not by standing in my shadow. She walked away, leaving Derek and his group behind. But the encounters didn't stop. A Crexian student approached next, scales pale with emotion. Commander Chen, I must speak with you. My father served in the fleet at Arcturus. He died in the battle. Maya froze. This was what she had feared most. I'm sorry for your loss. Do not be. My father died as a warrior. But I need to know, did he suffer? The records say his ship was destroyed in the gravity anomaly. Was it quick? Maya remembered that ship. The flagship that had been caught in the gravitational well. It had been pulled apart by forces that exceeded its structural integrity. The crew had approximately 4 seconds between realizing what was happening and death. It was quick, Maya said quietly. They wouldn't have felt anything. The Crexian student bowed his head. Thank you. That brings me peace. My father always said a good death was better than a bad life. He would have been honored to fall to a warrior like you. He left. Maya stood in the middle of the campus walkway, students flowing around her like water around a stone. She felt disconnected from everything, a ghost haunting her own life. Her first class was Professor Harkin's Interstellar Conflict Resolution. The lecture hall was packed with far more students than usually attended. They weren't here for the lesson. They were here to see Athena, Harkin noticed immediately. His 4 eyes swept the crowd. I see we have unexpected visitors today. Let me be clear. This is an academic environment, not a spectacle. Anyone not enrolled in this course should leave now. About a third of the crowd shuffled out reluctantly. Those who remained watched Maya with hungry eyes. Harkin began his lecture on post-war reconciliation, but he adjusted his approach. Today we will examine a case study that has become suddenly relevant. The siege of Arcturus Station and its aftermath. Commander Chen, would you be willing to discuss the tactical decisions involved? Every head turned toward Maya. She took a deep breath. Running wouldn't help anymore. The mask was gone. All that remained was the truth. What do you want to know? She asked. A Lumeni student raised a crystalline hand. The histories say you rigged the fusion reactors as weapons. How did you decide that risk was acceptable? Maya stood walking to the front of the class. Harkin yielded the podium to her. I didn't decide it was acceptable. I decided it was necessary. There's a difference. Acceptable implies you're okay with the consequences. Necessary means you do it despite the consequences because the alternative is worse. But 47% chance of catastrophic failure, another student protested. That's almost half. Yes, and 100% chance of death if we did nothing. Mathematics is simple. Morality is complicated, Zexar spoke up. You mentioned yesterday that you calculated risks while under bombardment. How is that possible? Most commanders require quiet environment for tactical planning. Most commanders have that luxury. I didn't. So I learned to think while my world was exploding around me. You adapt or you die. I chose to adapt. How do you live with the decisions you made? This question came from Chirla, her voice soft but clear. Maya was quiet for a moment. This was the question that mattered, the one that haunted her every night. Honestly, I'm not sure I do live with them. Not comfortably. Every person I killed had a life, a family, dreams, fears. They were soldiers, yes, but they were also people. And I ended them. Strategically, tactically, mathematically, I made the right choices. Morally, I'm not qualified to judge. That's above my pay grade. She looked around the room, meeting the eyes of students from a dozen different species. But here's what I've learned. War doesn't make you a hero or a villain. It makes you a survivor who has to live with impossible choices. The real challenge isn't winning the battle. It's living with yourself afterward. That's why I'm here studying diplomacy. Because I never want to be in a position where killing is the only solution again. The class was silent. Harkin spoke gently. Thank you, Commander. That was remarkably honest. Just Maya, she corrected. Commander was someone I used to be. I'm trying to figure out who I am now. The rest of the lecture passed in a blur. Students asked questions and Maya answered with brutal honesty. She didn't sugarcoat the war. She didn't make it sound heroic or glorious. She described it as it was, terrifying, brutal, and scarring. When class ended, students didn't rush to leave. They lingered, wanting to talk, to ask more questions, to touch someone who had been part of history. Maya tried to be patient, but exhaustion was setting in. Finally, Professor Harkin intervened. That's enough for today. Miss Chen needs time to process everything. Those with further questions can submit them through the academic portal. The students dispersed reluctantly. Harkin approached Maya. You handled that well. Many veterans cannot speak about their experiences so candidly. I had therapy. A lot of therapy. Turns out almost destroying a space station while having a panic attack leaves some emotional scars. I would imagine so. Harkin's expression was kind. I want you to know that the university supports you. Whatever you need, academic accommodations, counseling resources, privacy protections, we will provide. What I need is for this to blow over, for people to stop looking at me like I'm some kind of mythical creature. That may take time. You're famous now, whether you want to be or not. The question is how you manage that fame. Maya laughed bitterly. I don't want to manage it. I want to escape it. Again. Running didn't work the first time. Perhaps facing it directly will be more effective. Before Maya could respond, an alarm sounded throughout the university. Emergency tones that made everyone stop and look up. Harkin's tablet lit up with an urgent message. Security alert, he read. All students are ordered to secure locations immediately. Unidentified spacecraft has entered university space. Defensive shields are active. Maya's combat instincts activated instantly. What kind of spacecraft? The alert doesn't specify, but it's serious enough to trigger lockdown protocols. Students in the hallway began moving toward designated safe zones, but there was confusion and fear. Most of these students had never experienced a real threat. They had grown up during peace. Maya's mind was already working tactically. Harkin, I need access to the security network. Can you authorize it? You're a student, not security personnel. And if that ship is hostile, your security personnel might need help from someone with combat experience. Harkin hesitated only a moment, then entered his override code. Maya's tablet connected to the University Defense Network. What she saw made her blood run cold. The spacecraft wasn't unknown. It was a Crexian military vessel, but not a current model. This was an older warship, the kind used during the conflict, and it was broadcasting a specific identification code, a code Maya recognized from 3 years ago. That's a ship from Vrix's old fleet, she said quietly, one of the vessels that survived Arcturus. Why would it come here? I don't know. But it's not showing hostile intent. It's requesting permission to dock. Another message came through the security network. This one was directed specifically to Maya Chen. The text was simple but chilling. Commander Athena, we must speak. There are survivors who remember, who want justice. Come alone, or we will take action. Harkin read the message over her shoulder. That's a threat. Security will handle this. No. Maya's voice carried the weight of command again. This is because of me. Because of what I did at Arcturus. I'll handle it. Maya, you can't just walk into a potential hostage situation. I've walked into worse, and if there are truly survivors seeking justice for their fallen comrades, they deserve to face me, not security guards who had nothing to do with what happened. She started walking toward the docking bay. Harkin followed, arguing, but Maya barely heard him. Her mind was in combat mode, assessing threats, calculating probabilities, preparing for confrontation. The ghost of Athena was waking up again, and this time, she might not be able to put it back to sleep. The docking bay was in lockdown mode. Security barriers had descended, and armed guards took positions around the perimeter. University Security Director, a massive Valorian named Korax, stood at the command center coordinating the response. Miss Chen, you should not be here, Korax said when Maya arrived. This is a security matter. That message was directed at me. I'm involved whether you like it or not. Which is precisely why you should be in a secure location. Korax's 4 eyes studied her carefully. Or do you believe you can fight off a Crexian warship by yourself? If I have to. The statement wasn't bravado. It was simple fact. Maya had assessed the situation. The ship was old, its weapon systems outdated. She knew its vulnerabilities. Given time and resources, she could disable it, but she hoped it wouldn't come to that. Commander Vrix arrived, moving quickly despite his bulk. What is the situation? Crexian military vessel requesting to dock, Korax reported. They've transmitted a message directed at Commander Chen. It appears to be personal. Vrix looked at Maya. Personal how? Survivors from Arcturus. They want to speak with me about what happened. Understanding dawned in Vrix's eyes. Revenge, justice. From their perspective, there's a difference. The docking bay communication system crackled. A Crexian voice spoke in heavily accented galactic standard. This is Captain Therax of the vessel Retribution. We request permission to dock. We seek only conversation with the human called Athena. No violence is intended unless provoked, Korax responded. This is university security. State your purpose clearly. Why do you seek this individual? She killed our comrades. We deserve to face her directly. To understand why, to receive acknowledgement of what was done. Maya stepped forward, activating the communication channel herself. This is Maya Chen. I'll meet with you. Alone, as you requested. But this needs to happen away from the university. Too many innocent people here who have nothing to do with our past. Unacceptable, Korax said immediately. We cannot allow you to— It's not your choice, Maya interrupted. They came here because of me. If I refuse, they might take hostile action. If I go, we can resolve this without endangering students. Vrix placed a claw on her shoulder. Commander, you do not have to face this alone. I will accompany you. Maya looked at him. Why, this isn't your problem. Is it not? I commanded the fleet at Arcturus. I gave the order to attack. If there is guilt to be shared, I carry my portion. These soldiers served under my command. They deserve to see that their commander stands with them in seeking understanding. The Crexian voice came through the channel again. We will accept Commander Vrix as well, but no others. No weapons, no tricks. Just conversation. How do we know you'll honor that? Korax demanded. You don't. You must trust that Crexian honor means something. We are warriors, not assassins. We seek truth, not murder. Maya made her decision. I'm going. Director Korax, have a shuttle prepared. Small one, no weapon systems. Commander Vrix, are you certain about this? I have never been more certain of anything. 20 minutes later, Maya and Vrix sat in a small civilian shuttle approaching the Crexian vessel. The Retribution was scarred from old battles, its hull showing repair marks and patched damage. This was a ship that had survived hell, much like its crew. You seem calm, Vrix observed. I'm terrified, Maya admitted, but showing fear doesn't help. What about you? These were your soldiers. I'm ashamed. After the battle, I focused on my own survival, my own recovery. I did not consider what happened to those who served under me. those who survived but carried scars, both physical and emotional. The shuttle docked. The airlock cycled. Maya and Vrix entered the Retribution together. The interior was functional but worn. This ship had been through countless battles. Battle damage had been repaired, but the marks remained. On the walls hung memorial plaques listing names. So many names. A dozen Crexian warriors waited in the main corridor. They were veterans, their scales bearing scars, their eyes carrying the weight of experience. At their center stood Captain Therax, older than the others, his scales marked with traditional warrior tattoos. Commander Chen, Commander Vrix. Therax performed a military salute. "Thank you for coming." "You threatened my university," Maya said. "I had little choice. We threatened no one. We stated that we would take action if ignored. That action would have been to broadcast our story to every news network in the galaxy, to ensure the truth was heard. Violence was never our intent." Vrix stepped forward. "Captain Therax, I recognize you. You commanded the destroyer Vengeance at Arcturus." "Yes, Commander. I survived when many did not. My ship was crippled by the gravity anomaly. We watched helplessly as the fleet died around us." "Why have you come?" Maya asked. "What do you want from me?" Therax gestured to his crew. "Look at us. We are survivors, but we do not know if we should hate you or thank you. The war ended because of Arcturus. Your victory broke our fleet, yes, but it also broke the Empire's willingness to continue the conflict. How many lives were saved because the war ended sooner?" One of the younger Crexians hissed angrily. "My brother died in that battle. He was only 19 cycles old. Barely a warrior." Maya met his gaze steadily. "I'm sorry, truly, I wish he had survived. I wish no one had died. But I was protecting 12,000 lives. Your brother was trying to take those lives. I don't expect you to forgive me. I wouldn't forgive me either." "We do not want your apology," Therax said. "We want your acknowledgement. For 3 years, the battle has been shrouded in mystery, records classified, details hidden. The Empire pretended the defeat never happened, and your government made you disappear. We need to know the truth. We need to understand what happened to our comrades." Maya took a deep breath. "What do you want to know?" "Everything. From the beginning." So Maya told them. She described the siege from her perspective. The fear, the desperation, the impossible calculations. She explained every decision, every risk, every consequence. She didn't glorify it. She didn't minimize it. She gave them the truth, raw and unfiltered. The Crexian warriors listened in silence. Some showed anger. Others showed sadness. Therax's expression remained unreadable. When Maya finished, the silence stretched long. Finally, Therax spoke. "You were 21 cycles old?" "Yes." "And you held no malice toward Crexians? You killed because you had to, not because you wanted to?" "I killed because it was the only option I could see. If there had been any other way, I would have taken it." Therax looked at Vrix. "Commander, you gave the order to attack Arcturus. Did you know a human barely old enough to be called adult was defending it?" "I did not. Intelligence suggested experienced military leadership. I was wrong." "No." Therax's voice carried a strange emotion. "You were right. She was experienced, just not in the way you expected. Humans are young to the galaxy, but they learn quickly. Too quickly, perhaps." He turned back to Maya. "I hated you. For 3 years I dreamed of this moment. Of confronting the human who killed my crew, my friends, my family. I wanted you to suffer as we suffered." Maya stood perfectly still, waiting. "But now that I see you, I find I cannot hate you. You are just a warrior who did what warriors do. You fought. You survived. You protected those under your command. This is what any of us would have done in your position." The young Crexian who had lost his brother hissed again. "So we forgive her? Just like that?" "My brother's death means nothing." "Your brother's death means everything," Therax said firmly. "He died as a warrior, with honor, defeated by a worthy opponent. This is not shameful. This is the warrior's path." He approached Maya slowly. "Commander Chen, I have one request. Will you honor my fallen crew? Say their names. Acknowledge that they existed, that they fought bravely, that they mattered." Maya felt tears burning in her eyes. "Yes, give me their names." Therax pulled up a holographic display. 4,000 names appeared, glowing in the air between them. Maya began reading. One by one, she spoke each name aloud. It took hours. Her voice grew hoarse. But she didn't stop. Each name was a person, a life, a story she had ended. Vrix joined her after the first hour. reading names in Crexian tradition. The two former enemies stood together, honoring the fallen. When the last name was spoken, silence filled the ship. Several of the Crexian warriors had tears in their eyes. In their culture, having an enemy honor your dead was the highest form of respect. Therax approached Maya. He performed a complex gesture, touching his claws to his heart, then to his forehead, then extending them toward her. This is the warrior's forgiveness, he explained. It does not erase what was done, but it acknowledges that you fought with honor, that you respected your enemy, that you carry the burden of what happened. I don't deserve forgiveness, Maya said quietly. Perhaps not, but you have it anyway, because carrying guilt for a righteous battle serves no one. You fought to protect your people. This is what warriors do. The war is over. It is time to release the hate. The young Crexian stepped forward. His scales were still pale with anger, but his voice was calmer now. I still mourn my brother. I will always mourn him, but he would not want me to waste my life on revenge. He would want me to honor him by living well. He performed the same gesture Therax had more reluctantly, but with sincerity. One by one, the other Crexian warriors followed, each offering forgiveness, each acknowledging that Maya had been a soldier doing her duty. When it was done, Therax spoke again. We will leave now. Return to our lives. But know this, Commander Chen. You have enemies who will never forgive you. You have allies who will always honor you. And you have warriors who understand what you did and why. The galaxy is complicated. Truth is never simple. But today we have found peace. Maya and Vrix returned to the shuttle. As they flew back to the university, Vrix spoke softly. You gave them something precious today. Not victory, not vindication, but closure. Understanding. This is the foundation of true peace. They gave me something too, Maya replied. They reminded me that the people I fought were not monsters. They were soldiers, just like me. When they docked at the university, news feeds were already reporting the encounter. The galaxy watched as former enemies found understanding. Some praised it, others condemned it. But the conversation had begun, and Maya realized something important. She couldn't outrun her past, but maybe finally she could integrate it into her future. 3 months passed. The initial media frenzy eventually subsided, replaced by a quieter but more meaningful change. Maya Chen was no longer just a student pretending to be ordinary. She was Athena accepting who she had been while discovering who she could become. The university had transformed around her. Her presence attracted attention from military academies, diplomatic corps, and research institutions across the galaxy. Professor Harkin's class became the most popular on campus, with students eager to learn from someone who had lived the theories they studied. But the most significant changes were personal. Maya stood in the same lecture hall where her identity had been revealed, but now she stood at the podium by choice. Commander Vrix sat in the front row, along with Captain Therax and 3 other Crexian veterans who had requested permission to audit the class. Today's topic is reconciliation, Maya began. Her voice was stronger now, less haunted. Not just between nations or species, but between parts of ourselves. How do we reconcile who we were with who we want to become? A new student, a young Avix named Krell, raised a wing. Commander Chen, you've spoken about the difficulty of living with combat decisions. Has that gotten easier? Easier? No, different. Yes, I've learned that healing doesn't mean forgetting. It means integrating. The person who fought at Arcturus will always be part of me, but she doesn't have to be all of me. Zexar, who had become an unexpected ally, added his perspective. Many of us come from warrior cultures. We are taught that strength means never showing weakness. But Commander Chen has taught us something valuable. True strength is acknowledging weakness and continuing anyway. Chirla fluttered from her perch. Maya is still my roommate. She still forgets to clean her dishes and falls asleep during study sessions. Fame has not changed her essential self. This is what I admire most. She is extraordinary and ordinary simultaneously. The class laughed. It was a good sound. Healing. After the lecture, Maya met with Dean Paraxis in his office. The Valorian administrator's 4 eyes studied her carefully. Miss Chen, I have a proposition. Several, actually. The Galactic Council has reached out. They're establishing a new department, Veteran Integration and Reconciliation. They want you to lead it. Maya blinked. I'm still a student. You can complete your degree while working. The position would involve coordinating with veterans from all sides of the recent conflict, facilitating dialogue, building bridges, using your unique perspective to help others find peace. That's a huge responsibility. Yes, but you've already proven you can handle huge responsibilities. What you did with Captain Therax and his crew demonstrated exactly the skills this position requires. The ability to face difficult truths, to acknowledge pain while moving forward, to find understanding across cultural and experiential divides. Maya sat back, processing. Can I think about it? Of course. But know this, the galaxy needs people like you. Not warriors who glorify conflict, not pacifists who deny its necessity, but warriors who understand its cost and work to prevent it. That evening, Maya returned to her dormitory room. The locked box on her closet shelf was no longer locked. She had opened it weeks ago, finally facing the contents. Her military identification sat on her desk now alongside her student ID. Both were part of her. Both deserved acknowledgement. Churla entered with food from the cafeteria. I brought your favorite. The terrible human sandwich with too much sauce, thanks. Maya smiled. Her smiles came more easily now. They ate in comfortable silence. Then Churla spoke. Are you going to take the council position? How did you know about that? The entire university knows. News travels fast. So, will you? I don't know. Part of me wants to stay invisible again. Being visible is exhausting. But the other part? Maya thought carefully. The other part remembers something Captain Therax said. That the war is over, and it's time to release the hate. Maybe I can help others do that. Maybe that's how I reconcile everything. A knock at the door interrupted them. Maya opened it to find an unexpected visitor. Derek, looking uncomfortable. Hey, Maya, can we talk? Sure, Derek entered, fidgeting with his hands. I owe you an apology. I was a jerk. I tried to use your fame for my own benefit. I was jealous and insecure, and I took it out on you. I'm sorry, Maya studied him. The apology seemed genuine. Why now? Because I've been watching you. How you handle everything. You could be arrogant. You could use your status to get whatever you want. But you don't. You're just trying to live your life and help people. It made me realize I've been approaching everything wrong, trying to prove I'm better than others instead of just being better myself. That's a valuable realization. Yeah. So I wanted to say I'm sorry, and thank you, for teaching us what real strength looks like. After Derek left, Maya sat on her bed, thinking about the journey of the past months. From hiding her identity to confronting it, from running from her past to integrating it, from survivor to something more. Her tablet pinged. A message from her former commanding officer, Admiral Zhang. Maya, I heard about the council position. I think you should take it. You've always been more than just a tactical genius. You have empathy, wisdom, and the ability to see humanity in everyone, including yourself. Whatever you decide, know that I'm proud of you, not for winning at Arcturus, but for how you've handled everything since. Maya read the message 3 times. Then she opened a reply and began typing. Admiral, thank you for your words. I've decided to accept the council position. Not because I have all the answers, but because I've learned that sometimes the best teachers are those still learning themselves. I'll finish my degree while starting this work. It won't be easy, but nothing worthwhile ever is. Maya. She sent the message and felt something shift inside her. Not peace exactly, but purpose. Direction. The next day, Maya stood before the Galactic Council Assembly. The chamber was massive, designed to accommodate representatives from hundreds of worlds. Holographic displays showed her face to billions across the galaxy. This time she didn't hide. My name is Maya Chen, she began. Some of you know me as Athena, the commander who defended Arcturus Station. Others know me as the student who wanted to disappear into anonymity. Both are true. Both are me. She paused, gathering her thoughts. For 3 years I ran from my past. I believed that if I could just forget, just become someone new, the pain would go away. I was wrong. Pain doesn't disappear when ignored. It grows, it festers. It controls you from the shadows. Representatives from various species listened intently. She saw Crexians, Valorians, humans, and dozens of others. Former enemies, former allies, all listening. The war touched all of us. Some fought. Some lost loved ones. Some survived when others didn't. And all of us carry scars, visible or invisible. The question isn't whether we have scars. It's what we do with them. A Crexian representative stood, scales gleaming under the chamber lights. Commander Chen, you killed thousands of my people. Why should we trust you to lead reconciliation efforts? Maya met his gaze directly. You shouldn't trust me because I didn't kill your people. You should trust me because I did, and I live with that every day. I understand the cost of violence. I understand that every casualty has a face, a name, a family. I will never ask anyone to forget their pain. I only ask that we learn to carry it together instead of alone. Another voice, this time human. Some say you're a traitor to humanity, that you sympathize with our enemies. I don't sympathize with enemies. I recognize that the people we fought were not monsters. They were soldiers following orders, protecting their homes, doing what they believed was right. Just like we were, the war is over. We can choose to keep fighting ghosts, or we can choose to build something better. An elderly Lumeni representative, her crystalline form refracting rainbow light, spoke with a voice like wind chimes. What makes you qualified for this position? You are very young. You're right. I'm 24 years old. I should be finishing university, starting a career, living a normal life. But I killed 4,000 beings when I was 21. I lost that luxury. What qualifies me is not my age or my experience. It's my willingness to face uncomfortable truths, to sit with pain instead of running from it, to believe that healing is possible even when forgiveness isn't. The council chambers fell silent. Then slowly representatives began to signal their approval.